Drop your name, what city you calling from. Try to pull in the crowd from Clubhouse. We're going to be talking about narcissistic mothers. Narcissistic mothers. Are they destroying right. I want to welcome you to another edition of AK on Fire. This is my monologue night tonight. I'm going to be try to add some of our guests from Clubhouse tonight. I've done it once before. I'm going to try to do it again. This is the first time, so let me just go ahead and save that and open that up. Okay, it says I'm not allowed. Okay. Okay, I guess I won't be doing that tonight. But okay, so the topic of tonight is going to be narcissistic mothers. Narcissistic mothers in our community and what impact they have in our community. A brief backdrop, what caused me to think about this a little bit more than I have been thinking about it is I watched a TikTok video recently. And the TikTok video was of an Asian guy. I guess he's a comedian. I think he said he's like a life coach. And so he did a skit, a little spoof of a young Asian boy talking to his mother, and he actually played both characters. And in the short, the mother was talking about how great the boy was, how he was the perfect son. And so he sarcastically replied, "That's because I've learned how to suppress my emotions and suppress what I want in order to cater to you." And then she asked, the mother asked him, "Well, why is it that you're so quiet? Why are you so shy?" To which the son then replied that he's learned that he never wants to see her angry, that he wants to make sure that everything is all right with her because he's afraid of her and he depends on her for his survival. And so it was a cool short. It was funny, but I also feel like it was edifying as well. And it caused me to think about narcissistic mothers within the Black community and what type of impact they have on their kids and what type of impact they have on the community writ large. The thing is, in our community, hold on one second, let me take a sip. In our community, mothers, and particularly single mothers, are our community's sacred cows. You can talk about everybody. You can talk about fathers. You can talk bad about fathers. You could talk bad about men. You could talk bad about boys, but you're not allowed to say anything about mothers, right? Mothers are our community's sacred cows. And it's my belief that a lot of the issues that we have within our community will never really be rectified unless we remove all sacred cows and assign blame to where blame is deserved. And I'm not saying that this is all mothers. So let's be clear. This is not an overgeneralization. This is not about all mothers. This is about mothers who display some narcissistic tendencies, which we'll go over shortly. Right. So first, let me see who we got in here. Who we got in here. Hey, I see Sweet Jones in the building. Hello, Enya. Hello, Hanifa. Our sister Hanifa is in the building. Sweet Jones, I see you. Okay. All right. So I want to go back to the story of narcissists. I don't know if people understand the origin of the word narcissist. The word narcissist, which, the psychoanalyst was Dr. Sigmund Freud, gave us the analysis of Narcissus, and he based it off the Greek myth of Narcissus. So Narcissus was a Greek character who was a son of the river god Cephissus and the river goddess Lariope, or she was like a water nymph. It was like a minor god, right? A minor nature deity. And so they had this child, and he was a beautiful baby, and the mother was concerned that he wouldn't live long. So she went to this oracle, and when she went to the oracle, she asked the oracle, "Hey, I want to know about my son. Is he going to be okay?" And so the oracle told her that yes, your child will be just fine so long as he never knows himself. And so Narcissist's mother was confused and scratching her head. She didn't understand because it was almost kind of like a riddle. And when she turned to ask the oracle wasn't there. So anyway, long story short, and if you follow me, you will understand where I'm going with the story of Narcissus. So they raised him the best way they could. He grew up to be a very handsome young man. Some may say too handsome. A narcissist was very much into himself. He thought he was better than everybody. A lot of the women were into him, and he would tease the women, making them feel like they had a chance, but they didn't. He loved the attention. He craved the attention, the admiration that he received from all the women, even knowing that he would never give them a shot. And so, one by one, he was breaking their hearts. And then there was one day he was hunting in the forest, and there was the goddess Echo. And Echo wanted to reach out and talk to Narcissus to tell him how much she was in love with him, thought he was very handsome. But the issue is that Echo couldn't speak. The goddess of marriage, Hera, had cursed Echo to where, because Echo didn't tell Hera that her husband was cheating on her with other goddesses, she punished her to where the only thing Echo could ever say was repeat the last thing that a person said. So Echo, not being able to communicate her true feelings for Narcissus, was following him, and then eventually he turned around, he confronted Narcissus, and he was asking her to speak. She couldn't speak. He lacked empathy. He mocked, he derided her, and told her to get away from him. She tried to reach out and touch him, but he shoved her off. He showed a lack of concern, lack of empathy. Echo wandered about until she withered away till nothing was left of her voice. And the only time people know that Echo's presence is around is when they can hear the last thing they said repeated to them. Right. So this angered the goddess, Nemesis, which is the goddess of wrath and revenge. And so she cursed Narcissus to one day feel the pain that others felt, that he made others feel. And so one day, Narcissus his throat was parched. He stopped by a pool, like a pond, and cupped his hands, took a swig to quench his thirst. He cupped his hands once more, washed his face, and noticed a beautiful reflection in the pool. It was a reflection of himself. It was the first time he had ever seen himself. And he was so mesmerized by how beautiful he was that he couldn't leave the side of the pond. And so he was there day and night for multiple days, disregarding everything around him. He was so self-absorbed to the point where he withered away and died. And from this Greek story is where we get the term narcissistic, someone who's self-absorbed, somebody who lacks empathy, who lacks emotional maturity, right? So there are a number of things. All these things were attributed to the character narcissist. And so those who behave like narcissists are considered narcissistic and practice narcissism. So how does that then relate, right? How does that relate to the topic of tonight's discussion, right? I want to talk about a few people or people who are also have a sense of exaggerated sense of self-importance, who require constant and excessive admiration, who have an inability or unwillingness to recognize the needs of others, right? Who lack empathy due to their own egocentric thought process, right? So they lack emotional immaturity. All these things attributed to narcissists, you'll see how this all comes together in our community. So the reason why I say we have to look at narcissistic mothers in our community, in the Black community, we have a lot of issues, but it seems to be that the scapegoat for all of these issues tend to be on Black males. And we didn't get here by ourselves. This is not just a Black male problem or a Black woman problem, but however, a lot of the problems that we have, if you look back, it goes back to our upbringing, and people don't want to really critically examine our upbringing, because then you'd have to ask yourself, well, who is it that's raising these kids, and who's raising these kids are often single mothers. In the Black community, 72% of children are born out of wedlocks. Over 70% are raised in single mother households. So if you start to examine, the upbringing of the kids, then what happens is we start to look at mothers critically. And again, like I said, in our community, more so than any other community, single mothers and mothers in general are sacred cows, right? So let's talk about some of the issues that we have in the community before we get deep into narcissistic mothers. Excuse me. So in the Black community, we have a lot of issues. We have one of the biggest issues that we have in our community is the issue of fatherlessness, right? According to the National Center of Fathering, we have over 24 million children that do not live with their fathers, right? And I think that number is about 18 million when you consider those who don't live with a father or a stepfather. So fatherlessness is a problem not just within the Black community, but it's a problem within other communities as well, white communities, Hispanic communities. I don't believe the Jewish and Asian communities have a significant issue with fatherlessness, but once again, like in most communities, they have that issue. However, in the Black community, it seems to be a much bigger problem, right? There are a lot of problems that come along with fatherlessness. You have like teenagers. 71% of teenage pregnancies result from fatherless families. 92% of fatherless women are most likely to get a divorce. Excuse me. Sorry. And girls without fathers have a difficult time. Girls who were not raised in the same household with their fathers have a difficult time not just forming emotional bonds with other men, but have problems forming emotional bonds, period, right? When it comes to sons, fatherless sons are more likely to be aggressive. They're more likely to be depressed, struggle with issues of low self-esteem. They do poorly in school. A lot of them get suspended or expelled from school. Fatherless sons are more likely to be incarcerated. I believe the numbers are somewhere along the lines of 80% of those boys who grow up without their father in the in jail. 80% of those in jail grew up in homes that were led by single mothers. And that's not a knock to all single mothers. I'm just giving you the statistics. Yep, that's right, Sweet Jones. They join gangs. A lot of fatherless boys end up joining gangs and end up getting, they find their that fraternity and that male bonding through other street soldiers, right? So that's correct. And they're more likely to use drugs. So let's take a look. So when we look at those issues and we say, okay, well, what is the issue? Like why are so many Black families fatherless? And for a lot of us, we grew up hearing that men just up and leave their families, right? I think I'm not alone in that. I think peace, Mod. Thanks for coming through, sis. We all heard that it's men are just leaving their kids for no good reason. They're leaving their families for no good reason. And we were told that there's no good reason for a man to leave his family. And then we get older, we grow up, we find out that when you do the research, you find out, well, hey, you know what? It's not men that are leaving their families. It's women that are leaving their families. They're the one that's breaking up their families, right? All right. According to the American Sociological Association, that number is around 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. And was it the National Center for Health and Statistics? I believe it's a sub-agency for the CDC, has that number at around 80%. And some of the very same women who said initially that, you know, there's never a good reason for a man to leave his family, and that men are the ones leaving their family, once presented with this uncomfortable fact, they start to say things like, well, she must have had a good reason to leave. So now when the thought was that men are the one leaving their family, they said there's never a reason to leave. However, once it's confirmed that women are the ones leaving their family, they said, well, there could be a reason. So what you're seeing is a moving of the goalposts, or an attempt to shift responsibility or absolve themselves of any responsibility, right? So narcissistic mothers. A lot of narcissistic mothers look for a source to fuel their narcissistic supply, and oftentimes that's the kids. The kids, unfortunately, don't have much of a choice. Similar to the Asian kid when in the story that I mentioned earlier, he said that, hey, I've learned to appease you. I just want you to be happy. And that's largely what kids who grow up with narcissistic mothers do. With narcissistic mothers raise their kids often either to be clones of themselves, where the kids grow up to become narcissistic adults, or they grow up not being assertive and learning to be people pleasers. And especially when boys grow up to be men who are people pleasers and not assertive, women tend to have a lot of problems with guys like that, right? They tend to not really respect men because they expect their men to be leaders, and they expect their men to be assertive. Right, Sweet Jones. It must be two sides. It's two sides, right? The children are possessions. That's right, Maad. They look at the children as possessions because they see the children as an extension of themselves. And you can recognize these narcissistic mothers even when they're married, because they talk about children as if the children only belong to them, that like they have sole proprietorship over the children. They don't talk about the kids being our kids, you know, both the man and the father. It's my kids. They see them as an extension of themselves. And as you mentioned, they see them as possessions. So they raise their daughters to be strong and independent like them. Oftentimes, they plant seeds of doubt and mistrust. They tell them that you can't trust a man, that men are no good, that men will leave you. And so what happens is it seems like these women are preparing women to be independent in the event that men leave. But what they end up doing is creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right. There's a saying that character is destiny. And the thought behind that is that, you know, your destiny is determined by what's inside. Like the full extension of that is that your thoughts, you have to be mindful of what you think. Right. You don't want to have engaged in a lot of negative thinking, because negative thinking become negative words. Your negative words turn into negative actions. Your negative actions become habits. Your habits become your character, and character is destiny. So if you start to think, you know, that, hey, I don't need no man, you know, you will verbalize, I don't need no man, I'm independent. You verbalize it. And oftentimes someone who's interested in you will be turned off and just stay away. Right? Because, you know, who wants to be around somebody who says they don't need them? And as you're verbalizing those, your actions indicate it. You start to you go to college, take multiple loans, get your master's degree. You're not even thinking about marriage. You're only thinking about your academic accomplishments and career accomplishments. And then your actions, it becomes your character. It becomes part of who you are. And before you know it, it becomes your destiny. And you become a single mother, or you become someone who's alone and doesn't get married, all stemming from the thought that you allowed to enter your head from the very beginning. Your thoughts were negative, and ultimately it ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have to be mindful about, the things that you allow to swim in your head, the things that you allow to think. It's always best to think positive thoughts, right? So, but let me go back. Let me go back here. So, narcissistic mothers, especially within the Black community, a lot of narcissistic mothers tend to compete with their daughters. And we know, I'm pretty sure most of us know of a woman who has a difficult relationship with her mother. And her mother always competes with her, always puts her down, makes her feel as though she's not good enough, that she needs the advice of her mother. Maybe what she does is when the daughter has a child, she makes the daughter feel like she doesn't know what she's doing when it comes to raising a kid. She doesn't know what she's doing when it comes to dealing with a man, these kind of things. There was a video in one of the shows that I did where I showed a video clip of a woman who found her mother in bed with her baby's daddy. She found her in bed with her baby's dad. I'm not going to show that because they were hitting folks with copyright claims because they wanted to take that down. And so when the daughter asked, she said, well, what are you doing in here with my daughter's father? This is your granddaughter's father. And the mother proceeded to gaslight her and shift the blame. She said, well, you don't know how to treat him right. And it was strange that was the first thing that came out of her mouth. She's, her daughter is asking her a question like, what are you doing with in bed with your granddaughter's father? That's my baby's dad. He lives with me. And so they got into a big argument. It was a big argument, and she ended up throwing both of them out of the house. But that's a clear example of a narcissistic mother. And sometimes you have narcissistic mothers who try to ingratiate themselves with their daughter's spouse, even though or boyfriend, even though they don't have a good relationship with their daughter. Right? It's a manipulation tactic. And so that's an example of some of the things that goes on in the Black community. Right. So a lot of these narcissistic mothers, they don't want their daughters to do better at them than at anything. Right. And by constantly telling their daughters that, hey, all men are going to leave you. All men are dogs. What they're doing is they're providing an excuse for why they themselves could never keep a man, or they themselves couldn't get a man. Right. Let me see. So hold on one second. So let me read this. So Rico the Boss says low income women will no longer value their daughter once they have a child. The younger child represents an extension of benefits. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, as long as she's getting benefits off of the child, everything is good. But once she has her own child and she's going to move out, the relationship shifts. Is that what you're suggesting? Let me know. Send something in the chat and let me know. So by the time these young girls, get a certain age, they're already competing with them. And don't let the little girl be cute and get more attention than the mother did at that age. And she'll get really aggressive with them, right? She'll get really aggressive with their daughter, make the daughter feel less than. And what often happens is you end up having these young girls who feel like they're not getting any love at home or not receiving any love at home. And so what they then do is they want to have a baby because they want to live vicariously through that baby. They want to create a loving environment that they never received, right? They want to pour in in a lot of love into that baby that they never received from their mother. And that's why you have a lot of these young girls trying to have babies at such a young age. A lot of that stems from issues at home, issues with their mothers, issues with fatherlessness. It all begins at home. And it's surprising that we don't talk enough about the fact that a lot of the issues that we have in our community stems from issues at home. And it's not just the fact that the father is not there. It's not the fact that the father is it's not the fact, let me retract. They paint this picture that daddy just up and left. And it could be that mama just drove him out, because narcissistic mothers don't tend to like alpha men or dominant men. They tend to like men that are betas and that are subservient. Think about every couple that you knew where the woman was loud and she was direct and she was very bossy. Wasn't her boyfriend or husband docile? Wasn't he docile? Yeah, because that's what they want. They want a beta man that they control. They're like Rasputia in the movie Norbit. They want somebody that's weak, and then they'll go out and cheat on that beta male, but he better not cheat on them. I don't know if any of you seen the movie Rasputia. So let me read some of these chats. Okay, so Hanifa said sacred cows for sure. Yeah, they are definitely sacred cows. We can't say anything about mothers, and I'm not talking about all mothers. I'm just talking about narcissistic mothers. And I know, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't medically diagnose. I'm just talking about those mothers that exhibit narcissistic traits. And we see a lot of it. We see a lot of it in our communities, and we say nothing. We don't say much about it, right? These narcissistic moms that exist within our communities, they do a lot to sabotage their daughter's relationship. As I just mentioned, that scenario where the mother was found in bed with her daughter's with her granddaughter's father was an example of a narcissistic mother trying to sabotage her daughter's relationship. There's no reason why an adult woman should be laying in bed with her daughter's baby daddy. None at all. And to try to justify it by saying that well, you're not treating him right. Well, that tells me y'all already been sleeping together. You've been sleeping together for a long time, because that's very bold to say that, right? And so, again, as I mentioned earlier, they'll do things like try to make themselves alluring and pleasing to their daughter's man. They want to seduce their daughter's boyfriend or husband, right? They tend to be very hard and aggressive on their daughters. They tend to bully them. And the only way to satisfy these types of mothers is to actually be a carbon copy of them, or to just acquiesce to every single demand that they come up with. You have to be a people pleaser. And this is the issue that we have. I'm going to go over to the comments, but this is the issue that we have in our community, where we have women who are either carbon copies of their mothers, and they rule with an iron fist. They don't want to deal with any alpha male because they have to be the most dominant voice in the room. They have to win every exchange, every argument. They don't allow for men to talk. These are all not alpha traits, but sometimes they can be very narcissistic, where the only voice they feel needs to be heard is their own, right? What I say matters. What you say doesn't matter. I don't care about your feelings. The only feelings that matter are my own. So when it comes to sons, narcissistic mothers, they coddle their boys. They don't groom them to grow up to be men that will be leaders of their communities, leaders of their families. They groom them to be little husbands that will never leave, right? They'll never leave home. And that's what they want. They want their boys to stay at home, in some cases help them pay rent, do all the things that a man should do. But they have their sons doing it. And so what you end up having is this 20-something-year-old man who should be working towards having a family of his own. And he's content with staying at mama's house. He's content with staying with his mother. And she's content with him staying there. I mean, all throughout you can pull up YouTube, any video where some mothers would fight with their boyfriends, paying all the bills around the house. Got a grown son, doesn't contribute any bills, doesn't clean or anything. But a woman will tell you, that's my son, he's not leaving. See, these women have coddled these boys to the point that they're useless for any woman out there. Because what happens is these boys who, when they finally leave their mother, they have this expectation that women are supposed to take care of them. Women are supposed to provide for them. Women are supposed to understand that they don't have their shit together. And a lot of women can't take that because women are, and not to be offensive, but, women are nurturers. The man is expected to go out and provide. He's expected to go out and get it. Men and women are built differently. You cannot have a man staying at home doing nothing while a woman goes out and kills herself at the job. No, her body wasn't built for that. I remember this was many moons ago. I was in LA and I remember this kid, Omar, he was 19 years old. And what Omar would say is, man, I swear to God, I want a woman just like my mother. And I thought that was honorable. I was like, okay, that's what's up. We all love our mothers. He said, yeah, man, I've been alive 19 years and I never seen my father work a day in his life, day in my life. So that was crazy to me. So you're 19 years old and your father never had a job. Your mother did everything, and that's what you aspire to? That's what you aspire to become? See, this is why we have to be careful for what our kids see, especially when it comes to boys, because boys don't listen to what you say. They watch what you do. Boys and men, we learn through observation. And that story is more than, it's like 20, 25 years. It was a long time ago, many moons ago. But that story stuck with me. I never forgot that story of how he aspired to have a woman like that who would take care of him and allow him to be a couch potato. And there are a lot of men out here like that. And they're not just like that because their father isn't around. They're like that because their mother groomed them to be that way. And we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it because you're not allowed to say anything about black mothers. You're not allowed to say anything about black single mothers, no matter how true it is. Rico and I, we often talk about how we see these women dealing with their kids in public. And Rico, he had mentioned, he's like, man, I saw this woman screaming at her son and, calling him out his name. And he's like, man, it's just so unnecessary. See, not only is it unnecessary, it's also traumatizing. It's frightening. But what they're doing is they're conditioning that boy to do whatever it takes to please her. Whatever it takes to make you stop yelling. I don't want you to yell anymore. I just want to make you happy. A father wouldn't do that. A father doesn't need to scream and holler at his kids. A father wouldn't call his kid, you little motherfucker. I've heard that. I've watched women talk to their little boys like they're pit bulls, like they're rough dogs. And if you say anything to them, you're wrong, and you just don't understand. It's hard being a single mother. I want to show this. Let me pull up this clip, and it's from The Wire. Hold on. Let me set this thing up. It's from The Wire. I don't know how many of you ever watched the. Hold on 1 second. I don't know how many of you ever watched the show. The Wire was about. The Baltimore Police Department, in addition to the street life in Baltimore, like those who hustle and sell drugs. It was a very, very good series. It lasted, I think it was like 4 seasons. It might have been, I think it was just 4 seasons. It wasn't 4 or 5 seasons. And it was a very good series. And so the clip that I'm about to play is a clip of this kid Naaman. He's the son of Deronda and Weebay. And Weebay was an enforcer for Avon Barksdale. He was Avon Barksdale's hitter. He was his gunman. And when Weebay goes to jail and he's looking at football numbers, I think he ended up getting like a life sentence. Deronda grooms her son to be a little husband who will help her maintain a lifestyle. It was not just about paying the bills. It's about maintaining a certain lifestyle that her husband provided for, and now she wants her son to provide it for. So let me. I'm going to play this. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
You gonna have to step up now, Nate.
Hey.
Be the man of the family. You older than your daddy was when he went out on the corner.
That's what I've been saying. Damn. He quit school.
You ain't quitting school. Not yet.
Mom.
But you are going out on your own. You gonna ask Bodie for a package.
What if he say no?
I ain't take no for an answer.
Just dead.
What you mean?
With Rihanna.
Hand me the damn phone. What you mean Kennard took the stash? And he's still walking around?
I'm gonna talk to him, Mom. Make sure this never happened again.
Look at me, boy. Kennard got to feel some pain for what he did. He got to.
I don't...
You don't what, motherfucker? This how you pay me back for all the love I showed? Shit. I've been kept you in Nike since you were in diapers.
I'm trying.
You trying, huh? That's what you gonna tell your father the next time you see him? That you trying? Or you gonna tell him what you done?
Well, he done got him locked up.
That's right. Weebay walked in Jessup a man, and he gonna walk out one. But you out here, wearing his name, acting a bitch. Oh, look at you, crying now. Fuck you think you going? Get your ass back here. I ain't done talking to you.
Yeah. And that was that was from the Wire. And so she was using Naaman, who was a good kid. He wasn't really hold on 1 second. It says, okay, we've detected copyright audio from you. So I don't know if they're okay. Give me a one, or if you can still hear me. Throw a 1 in the chat if you can still hear me. Okay. So we're good. We're good. So yeah. So So she was used to having a certain lifestyle, and she wanted to maintain her lifestyle. And so since her husband, her husband was locked up for life, she was going to use her son. And so she was going to turn her son into a husband. And in our community, in the Black community, that happens quite a bit. And so oftentimes when we talk about the crime wave of the 80s and the 90s, and we talk about how, Black men were locked up for selling drugs and, they were out there on the street. The irony is they never talked about how there were a lot of mothers who encouraged their boys to go out there on the street. And just like you saw with Deronda and Naaman, there were a lot of mothers who did that. There were a lot of mothers who knew their sons were selling drugs and they just turned a blind eye because they liked the money that they were getting. But see, we never talk about that because we are not allowed to say anything negative about mothers. Y'all remember that Tupac song? You remember that Tupac song when he said, "Dear Mama"? He said, "And even though you were a crack fiend, mama, you always were a black queen, mama." Y'all remember that? Even though she put him in dangerous situations, no matter what, he gave her his props. But we never heard, "And even though you were a crack fiend, daddy, you always were a crack king, daddy." You never heard that. Things that mothers get away with, we would never allow fathers to get away with. A lot of us were beaten black and blue with switches, extension cords by our mothers, our grandmothers. And when we get older, we laugh about it. They'll be like, "Oh, after getting one of those ass whoopings, that was the best sleep I ever got." Anybody think we would do that if it were the fathers giving us those kind of ass whoopings? Probably not. We probably couldn't wait till we get older so we could whoop his ass. Couldn't wait. So with narcissistic mothers, they are actually a source of that's right, Mahat. Normalizing trauma. So with narcissistic mothers, they're a source of a lot of the issues that we have, like issues with attachment styles. You have with personality disorders. I'm sorry. Trust issues. Communication style. I often talk about how we have issues with communication, and it's counterintuitive because women, girls learn to talk faster than boys, and the command of the language, women have like a better command of the language, and women are empaths. They're very empathetic when it comes to other women. They feel other women's pain. But when it comes to men, it's something totally different. When it comes to men, how they communicate with men is oftentimes it is abrasive, argumentative. A man will sit and listen to a woman talk. As soon as a man starts talking, they want to shout over him. They want to talk over him. A man should consider their feelings, but they invalidate a man's feelings, telling him he should man up or who hurt you. Shout out to Sweet Jones. He always brings that up. Or they just act like it never happened. Or when we engage in just conflict avoidance, where we just like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of arguing. You don't listen to anything I say anyway. So, hey, whatever you say, babe. Yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. And then they go tell their friends, well, he doesn't communicate his true feelings. I want a divorce. I want a divorce. I want out. The problem with so many relationships being broken up, with so many families being broken up, with so many marriages being broken up, a lot of times is because women are just quitters. You don't get your way, you quit. Them old school women were not like that. Them old school women, they not leaving. If a woman thought she could sleep with her man and she was going to take him, she like, oh, nah, B. You ain't getting my man. I might make his life hell for a little bit, but you gonna know he's staying right here at home. But nowadays, oh no. Women throw their hands up and quit at everything. Oh, you're not making enough money, man. We're not on the same page. We're not compatible. Irreconcilable differences. Everything has to be the way they want. The only voice that should matter in a relationship is their voice. Men have to plead and fight about how to raise their kids because they feel like these are my kids. I'm going to raise them the way I want. And God help you if you have to co-parent with one of these women. Everything is good. Everything is all good until you as a man get into another relationship. Then you have a problem. Now you have a hard time seeing your kids. They want to make it difficult, want to run to the courts and make up all kind of lies, say that I'm scared. I'm scared that he might hurt the child. These are all narcissistic mothers. You know, I got, before I go on, I have another video that I want to show you. And it's of a young woman on a bus in Philadelphia, right? On a bus in Philadelphia. And a lot of these young women, these young girls who are raising kids, they're raising wolves. These kids are unruly. They're savage because they take after, in some cases, their narcissistic mothers. You have kids that are out here calling grown-ups by their name. I don't even answer a kid when he calls me by my name. No, my name is Mr. Abe. You don't Mr. AK. You don't call me by my name. We're not peers. I'll just ignore him. These young women are raising these kids to have no respect for adults. First is they call adults by their name. Then they're cursing and doing all kinds of things in front of them. They act like we're peers. It's ridiculous. And so this woman, the young woman, was on the bus in Philadelphia, and she was brutal. You know, she was rough with her baby boy, and he was like 1 or 2. Just like I mentioned the story of how these women tend to talk and be overly aggressive with these young boys. And so another brother on the bus saw that. And he told her, he's like, hey, you know, you don't have to talk to him like that. You don't have to handle him that way. And she was so outraged that this man had the temerity, or as Stephen A. like to say, the unmitigated gall. He had Weibo's big balls to tell her how she should raise her son. She said, yeah, I got something for you, nigga. She picked up the phone, called her people, and said, meet me at the bus stop. They met her at her stop. It was about 5 or 6 guys. Met her at her bus stop. Made sure she got out safely. And she was like, kill him. And they sprayed the entire bus. Lit the bus up. Because a man gave her advice that she didn't need to be beating her son like that. This is an example of a young girl who more than likely was raised by a narcissistic mother and raised to conduct herself like that, because that's how narcissistic mothers are. let me pull up this video. Excuse me. I'm gonna pull this video up. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So let me pull this up.
This dramatic video shows passengers scrambling for safety after gunmen opened fire into their bus. Prosecutors played surveillance video of the shooting in court on Thursday.
All of the shots that you can see were through the passenger compartment. They weren't at the tires. They weren't necessarily at the roof. They were all through the passenger compartment.
Prosecutors said the violence was spurred by this female rider. A fellow passenger reportedly criticized her for hitting her child. Officials allege this female passenger then called 3 men to meet her when the bus arrived at her stop in North Philadelphia. Police said 2 of the men were armed and opened fire before the bus driver fled the scene. No passengers were hurt. A judge has ordered the female passenger and 3 men allegedly involved in the shooting to stand trial. They face charges including attempted murder and conspiracy. Orla Reese, the Associated Press.
Y'all see that? They're gonna kill people on the bus because a man gave her, an older brother gave her advice that, she shouldn't be beating her child like that. These are the type of mothers that are raising these kids. And so when women are out there and they're complaining about how men don't know how to treat women, about how men are not leaders, about how men are mama's boys, how men want to live up under there and they're not trying to be their mothers. This is where it comes from. This is where it comes from. All these women who can't get a man and turning their sons into little husbands is disgusting. You call that emotional incest. This is what's going on in our communities. So back on narcissistic mothers. I mentioned about how narcissistic mothers are selfish. They want to be the only source of their kids' love and attention. Only source of their kids' love and attention. And oftentimes, sometimes you see these type of women will ensure that the kids are only close to her side of the family. They don't want the kids to really be close to the father side of the family. So in the event that she wants to up and bounce, the only connection that those kids have are to her and her side of the family. Remember that these women see kids as an extension of themselves. Again, I mentioned that these type of women always have a problem with their kids' romantic partners and spouses. They always find a reason for why their son's girlfriend or their wife is not good enough. They find reasons for why their daughter's boyfriend or husband is not good enough. How many of y'all seen the movie Jump in the Broom? And in the movie Jump in the Broom, I can't remember Lonzo Lonzo's character, and Loretta Devine was his mother. She did everything in the movie to try to sabotage this man from getting married because she just wanted her baby. No woman was ever going to be good enough for her son. And he played the role for a long time until finally he just had enough. He's like, man, what is it, Mom? You want to date me or something to that effect? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But he had to call her out. The behavior was just disgusting. You acting like you want to sleep with me. Now that's my Hollywood example, but there's a real life example of a mother doing that. There's a rapper out of LA and his name is Blueface. Excuse me for 1 second. There's a rapper and his name is Blueface. And Blueface has an issue where every woman he gets with, his mother has a problem with every woman he gets with. There was video. I don't have the video clip, but there's this video clip of Blueface talking to his baby's mom, one of his baby's mom, I guess when they were in a relationship at the time. And the mother comes to the restaurant and she confronts, not Blueface, but she confronts his girlfriend. She has exchanges words and then she throws food in her face and throws like the drink in her face. And they have all this on camera. His mother had a track record of doing this with every woman he got with. And his recent girlfriend, I guess his girlfriend is Christian Rock. She tried the same shit with her. And she brought her daughter, got her daughter in the mix. And I guess both the mother and Christian Rock went to confront, the mother and the sister went to confront Christian Rock, who is the girlfriend of Blueface, where I guess she has some kids, she's mentoring kids or she's some type of coach. And they confronted her there. But they picked the right one that day because Christian Rock not only whooped Blueface's mother's ass, but she also whooped his sister's ass. And they brought it on themselves. Because now that Blueface is getting money, any woman who is in a committed relationship now is a threat to that source of revenue that they're getting from their son and from the brother. Tavanisha says she saw that video. It's crazy. Is that video not crazy? It's crazy. But that's a real life example of how you have a narcissistic mother and you have a narcissistic mother who raised her daughter to be her carbon copy, and how this narcissistic mother will try to sabotage the relationship of her kids. It's crazy. So, part of the reason why narcissistic mothers have an issue with the boyfriends or girlfriends or the spouses of their kids is because they want total domination. They want total control of their kids. And they see the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the wife or the husband as an impediment to that control. And the only way these narcissistic mothers will be accepting is if the boyfriend or girlfriend is sycophantic and they'll do whatever to ingratiate themselves to the queen bee, because that's how they see themselves, as the queen bee. So if they can't control the relationship, they can't control the other spouse, then they want to sabotage it. They want to kill it. much like Loretta Devine's character did in the movie Jumping the Broom, much like Blueface's mother did in real life. There are a lot of Blueface moms out here in our community. There are a lot of Loretta Devine, or her character, I can't remember her name. If it was Levita, I can't remember. But there are a lot of them out here in the community. They raise their kids to be codependent. This is why you don't have a lot of men that are assertive. Look at the guys who are assertive and who are leaders. They either grow up in 2-parent homes, they either went to the military, or oftentimes they play some type of sports, or it just took them a very long time to finally get to a point where they're not going to allow a woman to manipulate them. But there are a lot of men who never grow past that age of 7. It's like they've been traumatized. They're just grown ass kids. This is why women have a hard time with some of these men. This is why some men have a hard time with these too strong, too independent women. It comes from our upbringing, and nobody wants to talk about it. We want to blame everything else. Listen, look, sometimes women are not the way they are on their own. It has a lot to do with how they were brought up. A lot of these guys are not like that on their own. It has a lot to do with the way they were brought up. And so we have to call out these narcissistic mothers, the ones who say things like, yeah, I had to be the mother and the father. We should shame women for saying shit like that. That's not acceptable. You may have been a good mother, but a great mother, but you could never be a good father. You don't even hear men say shit like that because everybody would look at him like he's a damn fool. Yeah, I raised my kid. I had to be the mother and the father. Negro, shut up. We don't talk like that. You were a good father. Leave it at that. But we accept it. You have women out here actually lobbying to be able to celebrate Father's Day. They want to celebrate Mother's Day and Father's Day. These women are clowns. People need to call that shit out. That should be a telltale sign of who the narcissistic mothers are. Because these women, when things are going right, they'll say things like, I had to be the mother and the father. I did good all by myself. When things go wrong, well, his dad, Tyrone, his daddy wasn't around. Well, I want his daddy around. He left. Well, why did he leave? I don't know, just some other woman. Nah, because you are a pain in the ass. That's why. You out there dating Pookies and Ray Rays because you think you can control them. I'm gonna put the link up to the chat. Give me 1 second for any of those who want to come up and cook with me on this. Let me go ahead and do that now. Okay, I'm going to pin the link to the top. I have multiple computers, so you have to let me know if you're in the back. Let me know, and I'll pull you up. Yeah. So I'm almost done with my. I'm almost done with my rant, my monologue. A lot of these moms are physically and verbally violent. In fact, kids who are physically abused a higher percentage are abused by mothers than fathers. And with boys, it should, I mean, it makes sense when it comes, well, it's not justifiable, but you can see why they would do that, because they're trying to put the fear of God in that boy, because they know at some point that boy is going to be bigger than her and stronger than her. And so she overcompensates while he's a child. She overcompensates. So, you know, these narcissistic mothers, they don't know how to raise boys to men. You know, they're too proud to admit it. They yell and beat on their sons. Never have positive role models around their kids. And so the guys on the streets become their role models. The pusher, the pimps, they become the father figures. They become the male figures to pattern themselves after. These women, these narcissistic mothers are raising their sons to be the kind of men that all of these women complain about. Some weak beta male that's over reliant on women. He's an underachiever, people pleaser, worships women, mama's boys, can't lead himself across the street, let alone lead a family. These type of men are not ideal for women, especially women who have their shit together. So, you know, so again, I want to close before I open up. Anyone who wants to come up can come up. If not, I'll go ahead and get ready to end it. But what I want to say is everything must be on the table in terms of criticism. Because to solve a problem, and I don't think there would be any denying that we do have problems within the Black community. But to solve the problem, we first have to identify the problem. And you can't point at everything else except what is a huge piece of the problem. Oh, it's just these men are leaving. Oh, it's white supremacy. And some of that may be true. But the lion's share, you know, they say charity begins at home. You show me a dysfunctional kid and I'll show you a dysfunctional household. No more sacred cows. We cannot afford to have any more sacred cows. If we can criticize these fathers, we can criticize these mothers. Right? So let me go to the chat once more. Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Tavanisha said good dads definitely need their props. Yeah. Just like we give good mom their props, we need to give good fathers their props. Right? We need more positive Black male role models. That's right, Tavanisha. Rico the boss says fathers need the chance to mess up and be forgiven and grow just like moms. Exactly. Why is grace only shown to women? We need to hear more. And even though you are a crack king, a crack fiend daddy, you always were a black king daddy. We need some more of that. Not that I'm encouraging any fathers or absolving any fathers of using crack. I'm just saying it shouldn't be one-sided. Right? So this is just something that I want us to think about, and I hope going forward that that we put away, or we get rid of sacred cows, and we open the discussion, because women don't realize how much power you have. I mean, listen, there are things that women do. A man could never shame a woman for doing it, because women don't care what we think. But women care a lot about what other women think. So if we're gonna start to fix things in our community, it's gonna take women calling these other women out, right? So, hey, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me for the full hour. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, that's my time for now. Until next time, be sure to keep an open mind, think for yourself, and stay lit. AK on fire.